everyone, and welcome back to another Storytime video. And today I am going to talk about how I learned to drive a manual. Now, I think that driving a manual is a skill that everybody, and I mean EVERYBODY, everybody should have. Now, I'm not saying that you have to drive a manual on a daily basis or like to do it. I just think that you should have the ability to do it. In my opinion, it is a life skill. Now, I think that you could look at this in like 10 or 20 years and go, oh, well, this is completely obsolete. And I think that there's arguments for that, but anyway, I just think that it's a life skill, and I think everybody should learn how to drive one. Like I said, you don't have to, but I just feel like it should be necessary. Of course, I'm not going to act like you can't succeed in life without it, but I just think that if you can drive a stick, you can drive, or a manual, that you can drive, like, anything, really.
When we have reached the LZ, you got that, soldier?
I personally love driving a manual, and whether it's a 4-speed or a 5-speed, just having that control over the car, you have more control over the car, whether it...
Search and rescue operation.
Well, you have more control of the car if it's a manual versus an automatic. And my current girlfriend doesn't have any interest in learning how to drive a stick, and I've dated women in the past that have been honored that I would teach them how to drive a stick eventually. So I've been on both ends of the spectrum in terms of being honored that I would teach them and not wanting to learn, period, when I bring it up. My dad taught me how to drive a stick when I was learning how to drive when I was like 16. Or when I was 16, and I have talked about how I learned to drive, and I have talked about, well, I think I've mentioned that was with a manual. Now, the thing with a manual is that I would recommend starting off with 4 gears if you can. If not, then 5 gears would be fine. It's just that 4 gears is less to manage when you are trying to learn, and then that's less that you have to.
The multiple intelligence.
Oh, you've woken up.
And then
Corporal Shepard, is it? I've read the tag on your uniform. I'm glad to see my life-saving efforts weren't in vain.
So that's less that you have to account for in your mind. So you top out in, of course, 4th gear. And you don't have to think about upshifting or downshifting as much, or double clutching if, you know, you do that to downshift. But I really enjoyed learning how to drive a stick, and I learned it on an old Mercedes, on an old diesel Mercedes that was a 4-speed, and thankfully thankfully shifting in that car was just so smooth, like you could basically flick it up, like barely touch the thing, and if you wanted it to go up to or down to 4th gear, or down to 2nd gear, or just over into 3rd gear, then you could easily do that with this car, and so it made it a lot easier. But I will say that it definitely takes a lot of time and patience to learn how to drive a manual. So if you want to learn, then you need to have a teacher that is going to be very patient with you, or you could just teach yourself somehow.
I was told not to open this door for you until you
it was tough at times where there were times when I wanted to give up learning how to drive a manual, but you know what? I never gave up, and I'm very thankful for that, and I actually drive a 5-speed daily, and I really enjoy it. It feels great to shift, the clutch pedal feels great, and it's become muscle memory at this point. I only really think about it when I drive an entirely different car than the one that I drive on a daily basis, like another manual, like another 4 or 5-speed vehicle, or I haven't driven a manual for a while and I am driving one again as a daily driver. But I really enjoy it, and I hate that we, as Americans, are kind of going away from manual transmission cars. I think that and the metric system are two things that Europe has over us. Of course,
Good luck, sir.
well, of course I love this country, and I'm gonna talk about that. I think, let's see, look at my notes. Actually, in 2 weeks, I'm gonna talk about it. So in 2 weeks, I'm actually gonna express my love for this country, so while I can say that stuff about this country, I don't think it's perfect. Like, I don't think this country is perfect, and us going away from manual transmissions is one reason why I think that we are very imperfect as a country, and one thing that Europe has over us, that and the metric system, because we are, I guess, too dumb to use the metric system? I guess? I don't know. I guess we are too dumb to use the metric system. Anywho, so,
remember, this was our thesis statement, so this showed up at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, I love this country, but 2 weeks, and I'll tell you all the reasons why I do. But I just love the improved, like, I basically become one with the car when I drive. And when I drive a manual, I can especially feel that way. Yeah. And I recommend anybody and everybody learn, like I said, how to drive a manual. I mean, like I said, you don't have to drive one as a daily driver. I just recommend that everybody learn at some point. I mean, it's like, you don't have to learn how to tie your shoes, or how to tie shoes, but it definitely helps, and it's nice to know how to tie your shoes. Or how to ride a bike. Like, it's nice, but you don't have to know how to ride a bike or tie your shoes to be successful in life. But in any event,
so we now know that this is going to be the
maybe, yeah, this is a definitely candidate to be retold. Anyway, I do believe that will do it for this storytime video, and until next storytime video, I will see you all later. Goodbye, guys! Thank you all for watching.